opportunity you have given each and every one in whatever capacity might be to serve this community. We thank you, Lord, for this state and this county that we live in. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I need to remove one thing from the agenda. We do not need an executive session for personnel tonight, so if I could have a motion to approve the agenda with that removed.
Motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Item 5 is to approve the docket of claim numbers listed on your agenda.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Item 6 is to approve the minutes from the regular Mayor and Board of Aldermen meeting of November 5th.
Motion to approve. Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Roll call. Roll call.
We're going to have a roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Ross. Alderman Piper.
Aye.
Alderman Harris.
Aye.
Alderwoman Lynch.
Aye.
Alderman Miller.
Abstain.
Alderman Robinson.
Aye.
Alderman Wicker.
Aye.
And that motion passes. Item 7 is the consent agenda.
Motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Item 8 is the personnel docket. Can I have a motion on that?
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second on the personnel docket. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion passes. Item 9 is the donations docket. Can I have a motion on that?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The donations docket is approved. Next, we are doing one of our quarterly community service awards, and this one's especially important tonight. Tonight we're honoring the Hernando Youth Football Association founders. Many of y'all have heard of the association, just called HIFA mostly. And when I got to Hernando, best I remember, they were playing ball down there in the outfields of the baseball fields. Does that sound right? And then we had the good fortune of Milton Kirkendall and the Board of Education giving us the old Hernando High School football field, and they kind of shifted over there after the city and some volunteers put in some time, and now they've moved on but are still playing in Hernando with the crux of it in my mind, and Alderman Miller is going to speak to this too, but this organization from its founding until now and moving to the future has been preparing our kids for high school football and then for college football. We wouldn't have had any football in Hernando if it weren't for HIFA and these people that founded it. So I'm going to read this community service award for these special people that gave of their time and are still giving of their time in many ways. This is the Community Service Award for the fourth quarter 2024. In grateful recognition of your commitment to serving others and your community on this day, the City of Hernando presents this award to the Hernando Youth Football Association, or HIFA, the founding members. And when I call your name, would you stand up? Danny Carter, Richard Hill, Michael McClendon, Buck Scruggs. So these are your founding members. And then the first coaches, Jason Canton and Eddie O'Bannon. And then the supporting staff, Brown Canton, Michelle, I butchered that, didn't I? Bronwyn, yes. Michelle Sellers, Kenneth Stockton, Shane Smith, Paige Price, and Jimmy Don Price. So, if y'all would, could y'all all come up here so you can officially be recognized? And I want to hand you your awards. Andrew Miller, would you like to say a few words as they're coming up?
And this is, doing this, not only, y'all can be moving this out. This is not only, they started the first youth football program in Hernando, but this is our very first group award that we have recognized. So it's the first group award that we are recognizing. What words did it do than these ladies and gentlemen here that have sacrificed time and effort to make it happen what it is today? And just being around and also...
and if y'all would stay up here.
Two more names that we can add to it that attended. Eddie O'Bannon, who was
We call it, man.
Okay, and Kevin Johnson did our sound system at the games every Saturday.
But I also want to recognize, the current Hyper member that's here tonight supporting them. Would you kind of step out in the center? We want to show how much support they got. The ones that affiliate with Hyper 9 and has been, did y'all just step out in the center and also be recognized? Find all y'all that. This just show you that they are here representing, supporting these ladies and gentlemen on what was started a long time ago. So it's amazing that out of all this said, nobody gave applause.
We're going to take a photo, and Senator McClendon's going to read a very quick something he has to present. Very quick.
Blow your button.
Very brief. Hello everyone, I'm Michael McClendon, 2245 Memphis Street, Hernando, Mississippi, and I'm going to read, what I have in my hand is the first program for Hernando Youth Football Association. This was going around and getting ads, taking pictures of teams. There's Robert Carter, I don't know if his name was mentioned, but it was a total team effort, and with this program and the ads that were sold, we paid for scoreboard, goalpost, uniforms, officiating, line on the white line. But this is the first statement, and I believe it was written by Jason Canton. And how all this came about was I was playing and coaching against all these folks, and each one of them had a phenom kid. And mine they were kids that like loving to play. So I said, if you can't beat them, join them. This was the first statement in the program. 2003, Hernando Youth Football Association. Hernando Youth Football is an organization intended to provide youth football cheerleading activities for Hernando area children. Hernando Youth Football is a not-for-profit group. All fees associated with participating are to pay for insurance, officiating, game footballs, lights, and jersey. Our mission is to introduce and educate area children to the sport of recreational youth football and cheerleading in a continuously encouraging and positive atmosphere. We are a brand new organization. However, in 2002, Hernando yielded a football team in the 9 and 10 age group of the Senatobia Youth Football League. We are proud to say that our children won the championship of the 9 and 10 age division and then went on to win a bowl game against the conference champion, Horn Lake, and we were the champions. We were the Redskins that year, and there's the Super Bowl champions, 2002. The North Mississippi Youth Football Conference will include teams from the following zones: Batesville, Coldwater, Hernando, Horn Lake, Independence, Magnolia Heights, Senatobia, Strayhorn, Tunica, and Tunica Institute of Learning. Parents and children that attend private school will be given the option of participating in the resident zone or private school zone. We'd like to thank each parent, business, and elected official that contributed to making this possible for our children. That was it.
And Mayor Johnson said that we started this, Jason and I met Danny Carter in his store. And that's how it got started. The people in Senatobia were buying equipment from Danny, and we asked him, said, can we have a team? And they said, yeah. So that's really how this whole organization started. And Mayor Johnson said that the kids learn about football and youth, but really and truly, out of that first bunt, you know, we have a doctor come out of that first bunt, we have a dentist that come out of that first bunt, and we have a pharmacist that come out of the first bunt, the kids that we had. And, so, the atmosphere was a learning atmosphere. We won the Super Bowl. We're talking. I mean, I get kind of emotional about this because it does. My child played. And most of us did. And now they are productive citizens of this state of Mississippi. So, thank you. Thank
Thank you, Mark.
There's a bucket back up.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1.
Good job. Yes, sir.
Hey, y'all gonna have to stay. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, brother. Thank y'all. Great job, man. Great job, man.
As this important group leaves, they will open up a few seats, so some of y'all want to take those seats, be a little more comfortable. The next item, very quickly, item 11 is a proclamation honoring Miss Maureen Elizabeth Morgan on her 90th birthday. And y'all don't tell her because I'm going to surprise her at her birthday party Saturday. But if I could have a motion to approve this proclamation.
Motion. Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Next is item 12, the approval and mayor's signature on the PS&E documents for the Mackingville overlay. Joe Frank, do you need to say anything about that? Okay.
I just have a quick question. When do we think, will that be done before the school opens?
It absolutely will be done before the school opens. And Austin's been a little more in the middle of it. Will you tell us what date we're talking about on bidding? And
yes, sir.
And we're talking about Mackingville Road from I-269 north to Pleasant Hill.
So what this is the plans and specs that Wagner's drawn for us to get ready to go to bid. We're hoping to go to bid shortly after the new year to let the contract in the spring. We've got an in-stop date, hopefully, of the end of June. That way it leaves us 30 days of penalties if we need it. So.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion on that item?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion passes. And item 13 is the approval to advertise for a request for proposals for independent contractors to provide concession services for soccer, baseball, softball, and t-ball in the 2025 season.
Motion. Second.
So motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Austin, do you have a list of speakers for me for the next item? All right, item 14 is PL 1843, the Pleasant Hill Express C4 zoning request. Before we get started on that one, a lot of y'all were here last week and thinking we were going to hear it. We are going to hear it tonight. What I want to start off, because I heard a few things the other night that needed to be explained before we start the meeting, I think. A lot of people are concerned about traffic up there. This board's concerned about traffic up there. I had a meeting with Wagner Engineering about a week ago, I guess, and this board voted to work with the county board of supervisors to fix that intersection and make it safe. Where they are right now is they have officially hired Wagner Engineering. Wagner Engineering is doing a traffic study that should take about 6 weeks.
Out of that will come a recommendation from them to tell us what they think we should do at that intersection. But what we have committed to while all that's going on, because really fixing it may take a long time, we are committed to having at least a temporary traffic signal, a red light, green light, up there before school starts. So that's going to happen. So everybody's taking the traffic issue very seriously, and so that's going to be handled. The other thing is there have just been a lot of, hey, we need to keep the noise down so everybody can hear. The microphones don't work too well. But there have been a lot of misinformation put out. I had 2 emails sent to me that were by people I couldn't even find, so I'm not sure they were even true, but they were full of misinformation people have been told. One piece of that information I'm going to put out right now is this is not a truck stop. It's just not a truck stop. I know it's been said it is, but there's not a truck stop gas pump out there. This is just a convenience store gas station. So if you have concerns, which I know you do, and we all have concerns, I want you to come up and voice those as I call the names on the speaker list. But I don't want people just to say the same things over and over. If what you think you want to talk about has been said, this board is listening. They're all ears tonight. So we're going to run a dignified meeting. This meeting represents all the citizens of Hernando, and these people represent that, and they're going to be listening to you. So I would appreciate it if no one speaks unless you're at the podium. And I have a list of people who have signed up to speak, and we'll start it that way. We'll listen to each other speak. This is not a courtroom. We're not going to go back and forth. We're going to hear what people say. We're going to hear what the developer says, and then we're going to move on. So, Austin, if you would get up and present that.
Yes, sir. The first case tonight, PL 1843. The request from the applicant is a zoning map amendment to rezone to C4 at the corner of Pleasant Hill and McInville Road. Southwest corner, the exact address is 933 Pleasant Hill Road. The request is to approve the 4 acres from agricultural to C4 planned commercial. And so what this means is the plan text you see in your staff report, the site plan, the building elevations, and all the associated data is what would be tied to this zoning. And so it's very similar to a PUD, but specifically commercially focused. A little background on the future land use map and the city's adopted general development plan is identified as rural residential land use designation as its recommendation. There's a land use and density policy in your staff report of what exactly that's recommended to be. The most applicable be residential land uses should only be encouraged in residential neighborhoods only when they provide necessary convenience activities. And so commercial activities are allowed by the comprehensive plan as long as they're neighborhood scale. I'll read the 3 criteria for rezoning approval or denial just for the record tonight. The burden of proof is on the applicant to demonstrate these approval or denial criteria. But just for the record, how this proposed amendment conforms to the general development plan, why the existing zoning district classification of the property in question is inappropriate or improper, and what major economic, physical, or social changes, if any, have occurred in the vicinity of the property in question that were not anticipated by the general development plan, and have substantially altered the basic character of the area, which make the proposed amendment to the zoning district appropriate. This was recommended for denial at the October Planning Commission meeting. With that being said, that does trigger a supermajority vote needed from the Board of Aldermen for approval. This was tabled at the last month's, or the last Board of Aldermen meeting, while the applicant submitted a revised plan for the situation of the pumps and the architectural elevations. And so in your staff report, I've listed on each page revised submittal of what the applicants presented to us. The pumps flipping to the back of the building. The building is now situated at a 45-degree angle to the intersection and has been reduced in size. The original building size was proposed at 8,500 square feet, and that's been reduced to 5,800 square feet. And then the pumps, as you see, have been rearranged to be in the back side of that 45-degree angle building. All parking is proposed to be in the back as well. The elevations in your staff report show the proposal as submitted. Formal design review will still have to happen, and so what you see is conceptual, but the lot arrangement, the pumps being in the back, all that, is be tied to this application. The uses in your staff report would be limited to this site, and so about midway through your staff report, you see the permitted uses. And so if something's not on that list, it would not be allowed to go in the retail bay. And so the primary use of the site is convenience store with gas pumps, but there is a small retail bay, and whatever goes in there would have to be on that list on the approval. The setbacks are typical for a commercial zoning district, and the buffer yards in and around the site are per ordinance and would be verified when they submit for a certificate of development application. I did prepare motions to approve, deny, or table this application in your staff report, and each of those are referenced the 3 criteria for approval or denial, as I just mentioned for the record. The applicant is here, and he does have a presentation for you to get plugged in, but I'm available if you've got any questions.
Okay. And in the meantime, just so we can keep you may be showing these, but I'm going to, while you're setting up, I'm going to read the permitted uses that y'all are applying for so everybody is aware. The permitted uses they are applying for, and these would be the only uses available, art or photo studio, bakery, barber or beauty shop, cleaning pickup station, I think that means dry cleaning pickup station, daycare center, doctor or dentist offices, drugstore, exercise center, financial services, flower or plant store, grocery offices, post office or postal facility, public service facilities, print shops, restaurant and carry-out, retail shops, and convenience store with or without gas pumps. So those are the only items that would be allowed in your application?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay.
Can I ask a question about some of those, the financial services? What all is considered a financial service business?
Our Representative Dwight Barker's here. He can get into more of those details, but I'm going to assume it's more of like title, loan cashing, check cashing, things like that. No? Am I incorrect? Yeah, see, that's why he's here.
I should have answered that. If it's some type of bank or something like that that wants to have a small area there, then we would be more than amenable for that to happen. But not a check cashing or title loan or pawn shop. None of that at all.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Your turn.
All right. I'm glad Dwight is here. All right, so Mayor and Board, thank you all for seeing me. My name is Shane King. I represent Houston Engineering, our client Rand Management, and the property owners, Mr. and Mrs. Lott. What we're looking at is a 4.01 acre lot on the southwest corner of McInvale and Pleasant Hill. And the existing zoning is agricultural residential. And as of right now, Pleasant Hill and McInvale are both what would be considered arterial roads. And that is how our development plan is conforming to the general development plan, because the increase in traffic, it would be ADT, so average daily traffic in the area, is going to drastically increase with the opening of the school. It is already pretty bad, which is why y'all are getting so many comments about traffic safety, wanting to improve the signal or the intersection. The future land use for DeSoto County lists this as a planned corridor, and a C4 zoning would fit perfectly in a planned corridor district. And with this being a C4, it does give the city more control, I believe, than just an overall C1 or C2, because like Austin was saying, we are tied to the uses that we are submitting to you guys. So this is what we are proposing. And as stated in paragraph 4 of our general statement, the new school being constructed will bring higher traffic area volumes to the area, drastically altering peak hours of traffic. And the character of that area is going to change, and it is going to be suitable for what we're proposing as a convenient stop for people traveling to and from school or people traveling to and from work. A lot of people travel Pleasant Hill Road and McInvale. And that leads into the major economic and physical social changes in the area. Paragraph 3 of the general statement states that the addition of the school, even though permitted on the site's existing zoning, will bring more commercially oriented development nearby because of the traffic that's going to be generated by that. Now, we've been going back and forth on the design. We've tabled before, had to back up and come up with a better, what we believe is a better design to bring. And this is what our architect has provided us as a rendering. This is standing in the intersection looking southwest from Pleasant Hill. You can see we're doing a brick veneer with, I believe that's lap siding. And with this was actually looking at the rear of the building. So this would be a false front because you would enter the store from the southwestern side or northeast facing corner. So we're going to do building frontage on 3 sides of this building. So this is looking in from the intersection. This is a little different perspective looking at that same side of the building. Now this is from the parking lot looking towards the intersection, and this is the actual store frontage. What the convenience store entrance is there on the left, the retail bay or rental bay is on the right. So that convenience store is going to be 4,500 square foot, and the retail bay or rental bay is 1,300 square foot. So this is the reduced building size, and as you can see, one of the main reasons we downsized the building was for when we reoriented the layout of the site. We're proposing widening Pleasant Hill Road, so that's going to shift the center line of the road, which shifts the right-of-way down, which also shifts the building setback line down. So we reduced the size of the building so we can fit more into the corner and get a better look of the site, what we believe is better travel, vehicular flow through the site. We're maintaining a good 30-foot distance between the canopy corner and the western curb line. So I believe fire safety, everything we can get our trucks through. And the utilities are already in the area. We have water, sewer, and electric all nearby. We are probably going to have to develop a little lift station if we need to, or tie into whatever we need to do development-wise. We're going to handle that in our site development review. Traffic safety, which as you mentioned earlier, Mayor, what we're doing is we are proposing adding a right turn lane, a dedicated right turn lane on Mackinvale to turn southward, or on Pleasant Hill to turn south onto Mackinvale. So the developer is often offering to dedicate the right-of-way that would be absorbed by that increase in pavement width, and offer to cost share some of the improvements in the intersection, if that be signalization, whatever that may be. And as you mentioned earlier, this is not going to be a truck stop. We do not serve diesel. And any delivery trucks that would be refilling the fuel tanks would be scheduled to deliver from anywhere from midnight to 3 a.m. So there will be no heavy vehicle traffic coming to the site during the daytime that we can foresee. So we don't want that to be any concern to anyone. Environmental concerns, underground storage tanks. MDEQ is very tight on UST maintenance checking. There's redundancies in place. There are redundancies that have to be checked. There's electronic sensors that let you know immediately if there's a leak. There's redundancies to catch the leak. We will go through all MDEQ permitting to have our underground storage tanks, including placement of the vent pipes, so no fuel vapors should be anticipated to float into anyone's residential areas, anybody's homes. From the last visits we've encountered with this project, I haven't heard much pushback about crime rates, but if we need to address it, the illuminated canopies and the lighting on the side of the building will, in our opinion, deter the crime, because we just don't see people getting robbed in broad daylight or under light.
Hey, we're going to keep this organized, and we're just going to talk if we're at the podium, please.
But so what I did, I used these renderings that were supplied by our architect, and you can see our landscaping. But what these renderings don't show are our roadway improvements, our buffer zone fencing that we're proposing. So I used his renderings and I created a fly-through So this is our revised proposed layout for Pleasant Hill Road. You're looking at our building there on the side. We're going to have landscaping. We're going to install sidewalks, a bike lane, because there's already a bike lane on McInville, so we're proposing to add a bike lane to tie into that. This is our dedicated right turn lane onto McInville, and this would be a through lane or left turn. I guess my pavement arrow should indicate a left turn, but this would be the through lane for the intersection. And on this side, which is our eastern boundary, with that being a type 35 buffer zone, we are required to have a privacy fence. I believe it's 6-foot privacy fence. We're doing 2x2 brick and masonry columns, spaced every 50 feet along that, and a nice landscaping buffer on the opposing side of our fence. We are proposing to have a covered or enclosed dumpster enclosure here in the back. Our detention area is going to, since there was an existing ditch on the south of the property, we are going to have our stormwater detention back there in the back. This is our entrance from McInville. There's the existing bike lane, and McInville's already 4-lane. And one of the main reasons that this project has drug out so long, especially coming to the meetings and getting tabled, and what we wanted to do was make sure that we brought the best design to the city that we believe we can do. And I appreciate you guys taking your time to listen to me. Our representative, Dwight Barker's here. He's going to add a few words to our presentation here. And yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, sir. I'll be brief. All of our projects are top quality. We understand, as Shane said, we went back and made sure we put the pumps in the back. We wanted to make sure that we brought something that was really nice to the corner. We understand how important it's going to be with the school coming, and wanted to address the traffic as well. So we are more than willing to do a cost share for the light or a stop traffic light or whatever we want to do for the corner to take care of that. We have quality properties all over DeSoto County, and I'm glad you mentioned, Mr. Mayor, that this is not going to be a truck stop. This is not a truck stop. I don't know where that came from, but this is more of a neighborhood market as well. And we're also amenable to working with Austin and doing what we have to do from an architectural perspective to create more, if it's, pitched roofs or whatever we need to do to make it fit more of what you're looking for. We're more than happy to do that.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
And just so everyone's aware, it looks like there's only 6 aldermen here. Alderman Robinson is on the phone listening and voting, so there are 7 aldermen here. I'm going to start going through the list of speakers that signed up. We're going to let them speak to the board.
Can I ask just one question real quick?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
If this is approved tonight, how quick do you think this building will be constructed and occupied?
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely as soon as possible. We do have to go through site plan review, and that can take anywhere for weeks to a couple months, depending on how busy the city is at the time. But we're ready to hit the ground running with this. We're going to get the plans done as quickly as we can, get them turned over to the city.
So what's the construction time, 9 months, or, what do you?
6 months.
Okay.
That answer your question, Alderman Wicker? Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to, y'all signed up, the people that wanted to speak. There are 22 signatures on this speaker list. We're going to try to limit each person to about 3 minutes if we can, because everybody has places to go and we want to make the best use of our time. The first speaker listed is John Stevenson.
John Stevenson, 1589 Johnston Road, Hernando, Mississippi, 38632. Thank you, Mayor and Board of Aldermen. I'd like to thank y'all for being willing to handle these type of issues that come before the city. And I come here not necessarily to talk for or against this proposal, but just to talk about this kind of development. This is a north-south arterial road. We all know now that the Board of Supervisors has connected Sweeney. It extends all the way up into Memphis now. So we know this is going to be a major north-south thoroughfare for the city going forward. They did this because we know the traffic we have on I-55. And this is, going forward, this is going to be one of our major arterial roads. It's also one of our major east-west arterial roads connecting, the Pleasant Hill and Nesbit communities all the way to the interstate. And I know that, speaking on behalf of, because I work with the DeSoto Council, we'll have the new intersection there at Nesbit Road on I-55, and there's going to be a lot of traffic. We know that this is a commercial interchange for the future. Now, that's not always pleasant to hear if you've been living there for 20 years. But the fact is, this is going to be a commercial interchange. The question becomes, in your judgment, what kind of commercial should it be? Now, I've done a lot of development in Hernando, and I've also done a lot of development in Olive Branch. Olive Branch has recently adopted new guidelines, which I shared with Austin, for the development of convenience stores within Olive Branch. It's much stricter than anything else in DeSoto County. And I have to say, if you look at those development guidelines, this intersection would qualify for a service station in the most regulated service station jurisdiction in DeSoto County. It's kind of made for this. Now, the question is, are you ready for it or not? The fact that there's a light going in there, I would say yes. I love the way that they've got the pumps behind, and I like the way the development looks. I just want to say this. I trust this Board of Aldermen. I trust that y'all have made good decisions in the past regarding these things, and I trust your judgment going forward, especially on this. And I'll always say this, use your own judgment. I trust y'all's judgment. And if y'all think this is a good service station for this place, I think y'all should do it. And if you don't, I think you should turn it down. My opinion, it's probably a good place for it, and it's probably the right time, especially when you look at the fact that there's a new high school, you have Delta Landing right down the street. We're working very hard on getting I-55 expanded. I've been working with the DeSoto Council and our state legislatures on additional funding. We're trying to get the new intersection in Hernando. And I would just encourage y'all, use your own judgment. And thank you so much. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. The second speaker is Sherry Price.
I guess y'all heard me. I'm Sherry Price. I live on 2245 Sweeney. Y'all heard me last week, and I've been asked by several of the residential people and the people that have the other convenience store to speak. And basically, they're worried. I would be worried. I wouldn't want a convenience store next door to me. Basically, that's what it is. It's next door. There's already a convenience store. We like that convenience store. Everybody uses it. We don't think at this time that there should be a convenience store there. We know it's a commercial idea. We like the idea of maybe commercial things going there, just not a convenience store. You're down the street from the school, and everybody thinks, that's great, we're down the street from the school. The people living right across the street are going to have to put up with noise 24/7, hot rod kids, loud pipes. We hear them going down the road. But it's going to be 24/7 for these two people living across the street, having to listen to this all hours during the night, people pulling in. You got your 18-wheeler coming in with gas, he just said, around midnight. Lights 24/7 right there across the street from these people. I mean, are they going to enjoy this? No. They're not going to enjoy this. This is still, right now, we're still a small country community down there. A lot of people, we have land, we have farms, we have animals. It's killing us to have to put up with this corridor that they have made north-south from us on Sweeney Road. We're having to adjust to that. We're just not ready to adjust to a convenience store right there on the corner with all this congestion that's going to come from it. And plus, do y'all think your kids are not going to hang out at the convenience store and skip school and hang out at the convenience store in the middle of the day? Really? I know all kids skip school and hang out at stores in the middle of the day, when they don't want to go to school. So do we want one that close to the school? So it'd be so convenient for them to get out and run down there and hang out a while and run back to the school when they're not supposed to be off campus. There's just lots of things to consider that maybe it's not the right time for a convenience store there. Like he said, he's got other options, banks, office buildings, this sort of thing. Things that will shut down at 5 and 6 o'clock at night, so there's not that nightly traffic for the people that live in the area that have to, I wouldn't want lights shining 24/7 in my bedroom window. I mean, think about it. What if it was your house? What were you across the street from it? And so I hope that the people that have asked me to speak, anything else y'all need? Okay, so
Thank you very
that's
much.
just, I hope he's got a beautiful building. He's done very well. I'm fully aware of the type of building he's putting in. They just put one in up on Getwell and Church Road. Looks very nice. That type of building is fantastic, but just not a convenience store at this point in time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Courtney Ruffin. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
What'd you say, Ruffin?
Ruffin. I'm going to butcher some of these, I know. And some of y'all write as bad as I do, so I may not be able to read
I'm one of them. Hello, everybody. I'm Courtney. I'm actually one who does live across the street, 914 Pleasant Hill. First thing I thought about were the lights, and they turned the building, so now it's the eyesore because it's the back of the building I'm going to be looking at. I did think of crime, which I mentioned the very first night we had this when y'all denied it. I did mention the crime. I am concerned. I just want to know, why can't it go up McInville? I think that'll be a much better place for this beautiful building, just not across the street from my home. You can go up McInville, you'll be by the expressway, all the buildings will be great. And that's just what I think. I don't think it'll be safe. It will be a lot of people hanging around this building, a lot of traffic because the arrow's still pointed exit into my house, which is across the street. So they're going to exit on Pleasant Hill and McInville. Plus, we know the school is coming, that's fine. We're okay with that. We got the children traffic coming, but we're going to add this traffic too, and it's across the street from my home.
And you're directly across the street to the
I
north?
am. It's one home across the street from me, her,
Okay.
and I'm right next door to her,
Okay.
and
Thank
they
you.
are directly in front of us.
That helps us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ruffin. Daryl Eldred.
Good evening. I'm Darrell Eldred and live at 518 Pleasant Hill Road, just up the hill from the proposed development. I guess I've got more questions than I have answers here. We had a master plan that governed how you develop. The master plan that you have on your GIS program shows absolutely no commercial development on that intersection. I understand that at a point in time with McInville being developed, but you're taking the heart of the watermelon and cutting it out before you even have a plan for the development across from the school. So is there a master plan that we're going to adhere to, or are we just going to pot-shot this thing one piece at a time? Is there someone that can answer me?
I'm going to look at Austin Cardosi, our planning director, for that answer.
Yes, sir. The general development plan, it's on a planned corridor, and this is parcels designated for rural residential.
And when did that come on? You don't have it on your site. You don't have it on your GIS plan. When did you change it?
It's been in place for a long time.
Check your GIS plan. It doesn't show it. The other thing that I'd like to talk about, sir, would it be possible for you to take your plan and shoot straight south on McInville?
While he's doing that, you can go ahead and keep addressing the board.
Okay. There's 2 or 3 different things. The elevation on the property, I think we're started about 332 on the corner, drops off to about 317, which is roughly about a 20-foot drop-off to a main drainage area underneath McInville. Now, the property that he's showing developed that I saw is 2 acres out of the 4.17 acres. 4.01. Yeah. So what's going to happen with the other 2 acres? You're going to permanently give them the ability to do whatever they want with it? Because it goes beyond the entrance into the school, which really gives me great concern what's going to be there. So are you going to develop something, or is that just going to be a vacant?
I think you said that was going to be the water detainage.
No, your water retainer is right behind the store.
Austin, I'll let you got the plan.
Detention.
So the current plan has no use, so if anything is developed on it, they'd have to come back. It's just blank.
I don't see that. The land's not divided, that's one parcel.
That's correct, yes, sir.
So you're going to divide it before you let him do it? Have we already decided that he's going to do it?
No, sir.
So
In his plan, he's only got one building. Yeah.
So the drainage is a big concern for me.
It's always a big concern for the city of Hernando.
And who pays for that?
The developer does.
Okay, so if he is doing nothing with the balance of that, then to get over that ditch, it is a huge culvert. It drains well over 100 acres. If you look at your topographical, you got a huge drainage area there. So the development of that concerns me, the fact that we do not have a hard plan for the rest of McInville, which I travel every day. And I heard something that kind of surprised me, that we're going to have I guess you're going to have a turn lane there. Is that right? You're planning a turn lane on Pleasant Hill? Okay, I'm not coming after you. I just need answers.
Yeah, we need you to address the board.
Okay, if you can answer me, I'll
we will get you an answer.
Okay, the Pleasant Hill, I've asked repeatedly, what is the development plan for Pleasant Hill? And I'm told there is no plan to widen Pleasant Hill.
So I will answer that. There is a plan being developed as we speak by Wagner Engineering at the bequest of the DeSoto County, and we would participate in whatever happens, but the intersection plan is coming.
Yeah.
The widening of it is not coming right now. Everybody knows it'll need to be widened one day, but it's a lot of money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What is the time frame?
On widening Pleasant Hill?
Widening Pleasant
I
Hill.
could not tell you.
You're going to cut all my pine trees down, aren't you?
Yeah, that's not in the plans right now. The intersection is the thing that's the danger.
You're not funded for it in the near future.
Not for widening Pleasant Hill, not that I know of.
So we're going to have a fairly serious problem there. It's going to be a mess. I know the school was kind of a surprise to you guys, I understand. You didn't know it was going to be there before you developed? Is there a development plan with the school in mind, or is this something new?
It is new. The school bought the property, yes.
Yeah, caught you by surprise.
So, yes, you're running out of time, so if you could wrap up.
Okay, last question is, when are you going to show us what the rest of the development plan is? Can you put that out there so that we can see what you plan to develop? And why are we allowing this particular development to come in ahead of virtually everything else?
Austin, I'm going to toss that one to you because you're the planning director and you can talk about the money we've allocated for the plan.
Are you asking about the future development of the corridor?
Yeah, if you go down, what is the new development there in the floodplain?
Delta Landing is the one.
Delta Landing. So everything from Delta Landing all the way up to the intersection. There's a huge number of small parcels of land there. What are you going to do with it?
So ultimately, I don't know what's going to be developed there. We're developing a new comprehensive
Are
plan.
you going to rezone it?
Well, we're developing a new comprehensive plan as we speak. The board's allocated money to hire a
So
consultant.
why are we approving this prior to the plan?
Well, we're listening to everybody tonight. I'm not saying we're approving it.
Okay. All right, I'll quit beating on you. Thank you.
Thank you. Jody Naaman? Yes, sir. I know you have been hired as counsel to represent a large group of people.
Yes, sir.
So maybe you'll say some of the things that some of these others were going to say.
Well, Mr. Elford covered a lot, so I
Okay,
don't really
good.
have to do as much. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, and my name is Jody Naaman. I'm a partner in law firm at Palmertree, Naaman and Jolly. We used to be Grace Palmertree. I've been hired by Mike Alanani, the owner of the Nesbitt Travel Center, to address a few concerns that he and his neighbors have. The majority of them have already been addressed by the prior speakers, and I for the sake of time, Mr. Pittman's very well aware of this, and the board is as well. One matter, and when you're making your zoning decision, you are well aware of, is to avoid the accusation of spot zoning. The board must look at the current zoning classification, not what's speculative. There is going to be commercial there. We know it's coming. Two things that the main arterial road, I think the traffic has already been addressed by several people and Mayor Johnson at the very beginning of the meeting. But the questions I had in reviewing the new site plan that I would request the board ask the applicant, they are making a proposed left-hand turn. My understanding is with the eventual traffic studies and the overall county comprehensive plan, Pleasant Hill will eventually become a 5-lane road, very much similar to at the McInville Bahia Road intersection. Does the design take into consideration the widening of Pleasant Hill Road to a 5-lane? Right now, as the design sits, you have a 2-lane with a turn. When you widen that to right, there will be an issue with regard to the taking of the parcel and whether or not there'll have to be the widening in the north part of that parcel, which also, based upon the setbacks of that C4 classification, the location of the pumps may have to be relocated. That is an issue the board needs to take into consideration, particularly considering the topography of the parcel. It may constitute a total loss of property if based upon MEDEQ regulations, that the pump may be moved. That's something that may need to be considered by the board. Because there will be additional right-of-way to require once this occurs. The other concern that one of the neighbors addressed to me was based upon the layout. If you would go to the overall layout showing the aerial view, I just need the aerial view. Yes, that would be fine. I would request the applicant show where the refueling will occur. That is a concern that has been raised by several citizens in the area. And also, if you would look at, I heard them state that they're going to designate midnight to 3 a.m. But there's no guarantee when the fuel company will arrive. I've been in a business like that, and they come when they come, especially. So that may be a factor to consider. You're going to have some traffic inflow and outflow problems when they're refueling. Also, considering midnight to 3 a.m., that may be a nuisance to the surrounding area. I believe Mr. Edward and the other speakers have covered most of my client's concerns, but those are the 3 factors that I see that the board needs to really consider in accepting this application. As Mr. Stevenson said, the growth is coming, but this application, although is a good, aesthetically pleasing one, it's not ripe for this location. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jen Eldridge.
Thank y'all. I'm going to read mine. I'm a little nervous tonight.
Don't be nervous.
But I do want to say I am for a low profile, low traffic. We understand that change is coming to the area, but we would like to know that the change benefits the surrounding area and does not drag it down. So, as I understand it, the applicant needs to prove that because of major economic, physical, or social changes that have occurred in the vicinity of the property in question that were not anticipated by the general development plan, which have substantially altered the basic character of the area, that they have to prove that the proposed amendment to the zoning district map is appropriate. I say, because of these changes, it is not appropriate. And I've got 3 points I want to make. The first one is, according to state law, zoning and other land use regulations must be based on a comprehensive plan. That is from the City of Hernando Development Plan. It goes on to state under implementation devices, comprehensive plans, and these are the words, City of Hernando, comprehensive plans can and should be used for concurrence plans. This is a concept that adequate infrastructure should be in place before development is allowed to occur as a condition of rezonings. Otherwise, what often happens is that when infrastructure is inadequate to support development, the existing facilities are overwhelmed and the cost of bringing the infrastructure up to standards can be quite expensive and difficult. It is better to have adequate infrastructure in place before development takes place. This is a matter of timing, and there is no infrastructure in place there right now. The next argument that I have to prove that what they're proposing is inappropriate and not proper is that there is no need for a gas station at this location. The national have, as of the 2020 census, 17,138 people in the city of Hernando and currently 13 gas stations. That is double the national average. There is already a convenience store one lot away. And I imagine in the near future, the total number of gas stations is going to increase because of 269 and Green Tea, because why would y'all not take advantage of a spot as prime as that near the interstate? My last argument that I have is that when the school is opened, and I don't know if anybody has considered this, but I experienced this for myself when I was living in Cordova, is school buses will not be available to those students who live within a certain distance of the school, which means some of these students that live around the corner over here are going to have to make their way through traffic at this entrance and this entrance and risk getting hit at this location. On top of that, I understand that we have a traffic study going on that's going to last about 6 weeks, correct? Okay. I don't even drive this route anymore. The intersection has gotten so dangerous. I don't drive this route. Macavale has gotten so dangerous for my car, I don't drive that route. I'm sure I'm not the only person. I'm concerned that a 6-week traffic study with the conditions it is right now is not going to be accurate and it's going to be a waste of money. Okay? I'm also concerned about, is there going to be a traffic study for when the school is in and when the development is in so that you actually have real data to be able to create the infrastructure you need, because I don't think you're going to be able to really support this area until those things are actually actively in place.
You're thinking like we were. When we met with Wagner last week, that was one of the questions we asked them, and they have a model that they're going to add in a number for the school and for the homes in Delta Landing. We know models aren't perfect, but they are trying to adapt for those, or account for those, I should say.
The last thing I have, and can I bring this forward to you? Okay. I appreciate Alderman Wicker, Alderman Piper for y'all's response to my email. I have a copy of the email I want to submit in front.
Okay.
I also, that is the posting of zoning hearings.
Okay.
And let me get back to here. I've highlighted a part on that. I assume that they signs shall be located on each road front and should face the road. It should also be in an obvious location along the road, no more than 20 feet from the road pavement. If you go to the next, you will see a site where there are 2 signs.
Yeah, this is DeSoto County's regulations.
Oh, those are
Not
DeSoto's?
Yeah, DeSoto, that's
Okay,
not
so
our
we do not, they do not, okay, here's my concern is, right here, this corner right here is where the sign is. Not even facing Hernando, because the other corner is DeSoto County. So the sign's been put up, and if that's DeSoto County's, they require 2 separate signs on facing roads. And you have a sign right here at a dangerous intersection where people are not going to be paying attention to a sign that is facing towards the county. Doesn't even face Hernando citizens. The woman who lives on that corner, it is facing somebody who is part of the county. So those are my, I wanted to submit those.
Okay.
And that's all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Cheryl Thompson. Cheryl Thompson?
Good evening. I didn't know that I was on the list to speak. I spoke at the very, very first one. I'm Mrs. Maurice C. Thompson. I'm at 990 Pleasant Hill.
You're the northeast corner of that intersection,
I
aren't you?
am the northeast.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm at Pleasant Hill and Sweeney. Bam, right there where those accidents are happening. I know this is not anything that you all really, really, really need to address. It seems like what's more important is putting that there. That's the least that I want. I don't want that. To me, the main issue should be doing something about that traffic, knowing how dangerous it is right now. This just didn't happen overnight. So to me, that should be priority. If you say you're going to widen out the road, fine and dandy. How about starting on that first? Consider the schools and what's going to be happening with all that traffic. That should be number one priority, not putting something there. You could go down the road and buy something at another store. But traffic. Yesterday, there was another accident. There at what, number 26, number 27 or whatever that we know of. You know, vehicles are being hit, pushed over in the ditch on their sides. People have a couple of ambulances that have to come and take them to the hospitals. And I sit there, I can hear the accidents from inside my house. That's just how close it is. This just didn't start. When they widened Sweeney out, we saw a concern. I picked my neighbor up. She's the other side of Sweeney. I'm on one side, she's on the other one. Pleasant Hill, Sweeney. McInville, you know, is on that other side. Right. In the meantime, though, I was concerned about how I was going to get out of her driveway and get back on Sweeney to get on Pleasant Hill. So to me, right now, that should be the number one issue that needs to be discussed. And not putting that there. Now, I'm looking at this and I'm trying to figure out where in the heck is my driveway on there. You know, Pleasant Hill. Can you show me? You were the one that.
Could you point
Who did that? Show me Pleasant Hill and Sweeney.
Northeast corner.
Right, Pleasant Hill and Sweeney. Okay, hold on. Right there. That's right there is where you are. That's 1006. That's 1006, right where he has his white arrow. That's my neighbor. That was a driveway I was trying to get out of, get on to Sweeney, which is where the little short yellow line is, if y'all don't understand what they've got up there. And I was trying to get back on Pleasant Hill to come down here. It would have been even worse trying to come straight across on McInville, you know. So I'm going like, okay, right where the little short white is, could you move your little cursor around? A little bit to your left, a little bit to your left. Go back. Right there at that intersection. That's where people hit and they run up my hill. They get knocked up on my hill. All we have to do is we want to be entertained is come outside and get some yard chairs and sit and watch. And we wonder how long is it going to take the police to make the scene. And we wonder how many cars are going to be there. We wonder, is the big pumper coming or the little pumper? And then we're going to, you know, it's a mess. And I see that being the main concern right now.
Agreed.
You know, certain times of day it's not as bad because a lot of people have already gone to work or wherever they're going to go shopping, to the grocery store, wherever. And it's calmer. It's much more calmer. But to the left of that arrow, can you move it over? That's my property. That's 990. Now, where's my driveway on there? 990. You can't even tell me that. I thought you had everything fixed up so that you can make it plain. All the greenery, the trees, that looks so good. I wish my yard looked like that. But it doesn't. So my house is, are y'all going to buy me out or something? Maybe that's why it looks all dark and charcoal color. Y'all buying me out? They buying me out, no. 1.5 million, I'm ready.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson.
If they want it, if y'all want that intersection, you want that hill, go for it. I wouldn't mind giving it up. I've been there over 40 years. I love that area. That land was purchased from one of my cousins years and years and years ago. I love that area. I'm not the only one. I love my neighbors. I have no issues with them. The dogs bark, what the heck? The deers are all down the yard. I ain't got no problem with that. All I do is look at them, they look at me. But all the trouble that's going to come from whatever they're planning on putting there, I don't want that, and I'm not the only one. And I'm glad that I got on the list. This is my second time of speaking. I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
All right.
Brenda Carter.
They said the same thing.
Is Brenda Carter here? I think.
If they said the same thing.
Yeah. Now, if y'all have, the board is listening very intently, so if you have something different to say, please come up. If you want to say something, okay.
I thank my neighbor for 1006 Pleasant Hill Road. Brenda Carter. On that road that comes out there, she was pointing.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, just yesterday, we had a wreck there, okay? 80% of the wrecks have ended up in my yard, okay? And she can testify to that. And the police are so used to me, they just wave it, okay? So if you put something there that's gonna cause even more traffic, that's gonna affect me tremendously. I love the light thing that y'all got up there. I really do. Hopefully, when y'all get it up there, that somebody will stop. Because they are not stopping. That's the only thing that and then y'all need to hire some wreckers when y'all do that, because they need because that's where they are located at. Tires raising up to the sky. Tires, not the top of the car, the bottom of the car. 80% of the wrecks that happen there happen in my yard. Okay, so whatever you all are putting together, and like I said, I love this light thing that y'all sitting up here. Most people don't pay attention to that. They just come over that hill, act like they own it, and the next thing you know is you hear what's going on. My driveway, y'all gonna do something about that, and I ain't worried about that. Because there's no way you can do this and not move my driveway. My driveway will have to be moved.
I would agree.
And y'all gonna do it, because I'm not going to.
We hope it's the county that does it, but yes, ma'am, it has to be moved if something happens, you're right.
It's gonna be moved, and then, because of where my house is located, water that comes from the hills and stuff like that, unless y'all gonna give me some flood insurance, y'all gotta make sure that my area don't flood. So like I said, that's gonna be taken care of. But if you all put that there, okay, one question. Y'all only gonna open up the road to go, what is that, west on Pleasant Hill? Is that correct?
Yes.
Which way, I'm sorry?
Yes.
West on Pleasant Hill. That's the question that I have.
The developer is only responsible for doing what's along their
On the
property.
other side,
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
Now, I don't know, when the county does their big traffic study, I'm not sure what they're gonna recommend.
Okay, because that's, like I said, I'm this side,
Yeah,
and that's where all the wrecks happen at.
right.
So if you're gonna set it up to make sure that the people go that way, you need to make sure that the people can go the other way as well.
That's right, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Like I said, I like the lights. Maybe somebody will stop.
Thank you very much. Margaret Hill. Margaret left, didn't she?
I think somebody just.
Yeah.
Do you think we need to clarify that the lights are what the applicant has put up? That's not necessarily
We don't know what the county's
Right.
gonna recommend. It could be anything. So.
Yeah.
But, Rosie Mae Jackson? Does Rosie Mae want to speak? You don't want to? Okay.
Actually, did they write the name, somebody else speak the name?
Yeah, well, some people may have written on here just signing in, not realizing this was for speakers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Willie Baptist, would Willie Baptist like to speak? Okay, thank you, sir. Let's see, Amanda, how do you pronounce your last name?
I live at 1736 Pleasant Hill Road, and with Miss Ruffin, I think it was, I agree with her. For a gas station, it needs to be on the other side of the school, because with that traffic coming out of the school, making all them left-hand turns is going to be too dangerous for those, because my child will be going to that high school here in about 2-3 years. So, and to think of her being a beginning driver and all that traffic because gotta admit, gas stations get bought and sold. So at any point in time, somebody on the interstate is going to advertise that gas station, which is going to bring more traffic off that interstate to that gas station where all of our kids are getting out of school. They got the beginning drivers and stuff. But so I don't, like a bank is great, it's only closes at 5, we don't have the lights all day, it's not going to be heavy traffic. But a gas station at that corner is not okay. I believe that it should be closer to the interstate on the other side of the school for a gas station. But like she said, like the traffic is too much with beginning drivers and all that right there with the school. I would not let my daughter drive if there's a gas station there, because I'd be worried about her safety. I walk to Mike's gas station almost every other day because I get my nightly exercise and stuff. It is scary because her hill, you can't see at that corner. Is there any way we can get at least a temporary 4-way stop or something till we get lights, or what?
I will talk to Wagner Engineering about that. I think they've done some studies. I'm not 100% certain, but I think what I remember them saying is a 4-way stop might be even more dangerous. So they're
because, like I said, that hill does block the view for
we will ask that question of Wagner Engineering. They're professional traffic engineers, so Austin and I will make sure we ask them if that could be done. But it seems like they looked at it, and that was going to be even more dangerous.
Because I know the light's going to take a little bit longer. We just need something for that traffic now, because, my daughter, like I said, she's going to be going there soon, and it's scary to think of these children, beginning drivers, coming out, making these left-hand turns with this traffic coming off the interstate, going to this gas station. We already have a gas station right here. I don't know why we put one on top of another. It's too much. So, thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. Mo. Does that say Mo? And the last name starts with an H? Is there a person here with that name? I'm going to read the address.
Yes, sir. That's me.
That's you? Oh, you don't want to speak? You were just signing in? Okay. Got you. Thank you. Edward Dunaway, 2771 Pleasant Hill Road. Would you like to speak? Yes, sir.
Just briefly, I just want to make note also tonight when I came down Pleasant Hill Road, traffic at Sweeney and McInville, as far as you could see going north, traffic was backed up there. I don't know how the lady can ever get out of her driveway at that time.
Coming from the South Haven side, heading south?
Yeah, I was coming from the west.
Okay.
And the traffic was backed up on Sweeney as far as I could see up that hill and over the hill. It was also backed up on McInville going north. And you're talking about doing a traffic study, and the school hadn't even begun to think about opening. And the traffic is terrible there right now. And I agree with the lady or whoever said that, the infrastructure needs to be done before that station or whatever is going to be there, the convenience store, is put there. Because, as I said, if they widen Pleasant Hill east and west, there's not going to be any room for them to come by that station. There's just not going to be. And so that's all I had to say.
Okay, thank you, sir. David Scruggs.
I have a question, and actually it's a suggestion for Wagner. Can I speak?
I'm going to keep going down the list.
We need to go through the list first.
Yeah, David Scruggs.
That was Buck.
Oh, that was Buck, yeah, okay. Let's see, I'll mark him off and see if I can read the next name. Leah Dyer Woods.
I'm Leah Dyer Woods. I live in Shetland Gardens, which is off Baptist Road, the only neighborhood over there. And I frequent Hernando quite often. My daughters go to Connection and one does competitive cheer, so I'm there coming down this way quite a bit. We have witnessed some really bad car wrecks in that lady's yard who has spoken about seeing them, and my daughters have had to see them as well. I feel like we're kind of getting our cart before the horse. I feel like that, there needs to be a more comprehensive, in-depth plan. I've been the area manager for an auto finance company, and for the auction, I've had to cover between 60 to 90 miles radius around Memphis. And I have seen how if people develop cities well, then it does well for the city. But if they don't, it can actually bring the city down. So y'all need to probably do a very in-depth study of other areas using government information to see how they've been developed. I do agree that that's a very dangerous spot, and people don't always stop at lights. I've traveled through the city of Memphis seeing a lot of used car lots, and I've also sold cars for drive time, and I've had to sell people cars who have been T-boned at lights because people don't always stop. Now, we frequent Sarasota quite a bit. We love Sarasota, Lido Key, and they have the roundabouts down there for double lanes even, and that does cut down 83% of bad vehicle wrecks that, take people's lives. It lessens that from happening. So if y'all maybe want to consider that and maybe study that more about how other cities have handled that. But as far as the gas station, I believe that that's something that even shouldn't be discussed at this point until there's a better plan put together. Now, me traveling through territories and going through Jonesboro and Tennessee and all that, people are most likely to stop at a gas station that's going to be right off the expressway. They're not going to want to drive down the expressway or away from the expressway to go to a gas station. So I understand certain land may be easier to acquire, because I've been in sales, I know this. Certain land might be easier to acquire than other land, but that land that's at the exit of 269 going west, to me, that makes more sense to have a gas station right there. And it's closer, as somebody else had stated earlier, closer to the landing. And, with the right advertising, may bring more money to the city of Hernando if planned better. Nobody says, it has to be done immediately, but to me, if the safety thing is done first, and then the right actions taken to put the gas station at the right spot, then that could be utilized to bring more spending to the city. And then a gas station that's already on Pleasant Hill along with another gas station being right there, that's just overkill. That's a little bit like people don't even know what's going on with that. You got one gas station, then you're going to have another one. That just doesn't really make much sense.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Michael Jones? Yes, sir. Please come up.
600 Pleasant Hill. I'm across the street from Travel Stop now. Travel Stop's been there, Wayne's Grocery Store there for years. All right, we built a new building. We try to be energy efficient. We put bright lights in. You ever seen a chicken in the middle of the night or a rooster cackling because the damn sun's up? That's what we have. You're fixing to add another one. So we're in downtown with the brightest lights in the world. I feel sorry for them two ladies because they're fixing to be blinded. They ain't enough curtains to put over a window. They're gonna be in the middle of it. Growth is inevitable. I understand. Regulations of lighting. We want lights to where we feel safe. We also want lights to where we're not in daytime all the time. That's right. We're in daytime all the time. Many people live across the street or next door. They're in daylight all the time, from one, not only two. And I have a question pertaining to this. On the corner of 51 and Nesbitt Road, we have two gas stations side by side.
Yep.
This board approved that?
The zoning approved it, but it didn't have to be approved by this board, and no, this board did not approve it.
Okay. That's busy intersection. People that do stop at that gas station at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, can they get out making a left-hand turn? No, they get run over. The infrastructure, we've all talked about that, but lighting ordinances, We got any lighting ordinances in Hernando?
We actually do, because we know how bright lights look. And our lighting makes sure on new buildings, the light, they have to submit a photometric study, and the light cannot leave the property. It shines down only, it can't shine out. So if you look at some of the newer buildings built and drive by those and take a look, it is a lot different. And that's something Austin just handles in his department.
My only concern, you got, like I say, change is coming, we gotta work on roads, we know that. But we're building buildings before we're building roads. And I strongly suggest that the county and y'all work together when they do buy land to build a school on, to get ahead of it. Because right now, they're so far behind on McInville, anybody that travels it, we need new cars. Because none of us have got a safe car anymore.
Yep, thank you. And did I address McInville Road before? All right, let me address McInville Road real quickly, just a point of reference. From I-269 to Pleasant Hill, we are designing it and have it funded in this budget to totally rebuild that entire road. That'll be done before the school opens. So that's definitely happening before the school opens. We have $2.1 million of federal money, $700,000 to Soda County Schools kicked in, and this board is putting up the other $2 million from the city coffers. So that'll be about $4.6 million that'll be spent on that road before the school opens, and it'll be a brand new road. Not a year. No, it should be finished by the end of June. So that's what we're shooting for. Let's see, Nancy Boone on 2060 Sweeney.
Yeah, I just have one question, since you're talking about the traffic. What is the future for Sweeney Road? Why wouldn't you take that into consideration before you build a new building?
Yeah. So Sweeney Road is completely in the county. That would be a question for your county supervisors.
But wouldn't you take that into consideration before you build this building? It's in DeSoto County.
So, well, that's a good point, and the board will listen to you. Yep. Number 19 is Melissa Babb.
I don't have anything else.
Okay. Thank you so much. Ashley Patterson. Would Ashley Patterson like to speak? Yes.
Yes, I was at 806 Pleasant Hill Road, and my neighbors have pretty much covered everything for me, but there is crime that happens during the daytime. Before the last meeting, I was getting ready reading some statistics and stuff, and there was a C4 gas station across the road from a high school in Lexington, Kentucky, and it was robbed during the daytime, and the gunman went from the gas station over to the high school or middle school. I can't really remember exactly what school it was, but went over to the school before the police got there, and that quickly turned into an active shooter case because they were right across from the high school, and that's pretty much it. And crime does happen during the daytime and in lights.
Thank you. Ashley Patterson? Oh, that was Miss Patterson, I'm sorry. Sorry, Ashley. The last one on the, well, there's two more on the list. There's Sherry McCallett? McCullough, okay. At 681 Bankston.
That is correct. Okay. And I'll probably go ahead and speak for my mother, Jane Roon. She's at 1805 Sweeney.
Okay.
She's actually one of the ones that was in a horrible accident at that intersection. I know you've discussed the traffic control, that it's coming. The roads are going to be fixed. Theoretically, there's police to work on the speeding. But I haven't heard anybody talk about our property values going down if this gas station goes in a location that it seems like has not really been considered as a good place, truly. I understand that it's going to have to be commercial. I've lived down there in the country with my horses since I was 8 years old. It's no longer country. It's sad. People are speeding, and I can't help that, but I can speak out for the gas station at the corner. But I am concerned about the crime and my property values going down with the gas station. way y'all can say whether that won't happen?
Chief Ellis, I might put you on the spot. What kind of, I know you don't have exact numbers, but you've been in the department for over 20 years. How many calls do you get on crime at convenience stores?
Well, I do have some numbers.
Well, thank you for preparing.
So really, I'm gonna sit up here and tell you that there won't be any crime, because I can't do that. There's always gonna be crime, no matter circumstances. But we actually have 15 gas stations within the city limits now. I ran the numbers the last 4 years at all 15 gas stations, and we've had 37 criminal incidents at these 15 gas stations in 4 years, where we either made an arrest or a criminal investigation was started. And those charges range from public drunk, shoplifting, embezzlement, gas drive-off, credit card fraud, check fraud, and one car burglary. So if you look at the numbers, that's 48 months at 15 gas stations, 37 incidents. That's not a crime problem. And we do respond to suspicious persons, suspicious vehicles at these gas stations, like we do every other business in the city. Majority of the time, there's no law enforcement action because there's no laws being broken. But we respond to them and we look into them. On another note, we have made 2,468 traffic stops at these gas stations. We make arrests there on traffic stops, but with that being said, we are highly visible at our convenience stores and gas stations. We might pull somebody up, stop them on Commerce, and they pull into the gas station. Well, a lot of people don't think of this, but that's a deterrent for people who might want to do something bad, because they don't know what we're doing. They don't know why we're there. So I know crime happens. I know bad things happen everywhere. There's no way that we can stop it all completely. But I would like to think that we do a very good job at our convenience stores, businesses, because we don't have the crime that other people have. Now, I'm not going to jinx us and tell y'all when our last burglary was of armed robbery of a gas station, but it's been a minute. It's been a while. Crime is always a forethought, and you always got to be thinking about it, but it's not rampant. And if you have any other questions, I'll be glad to answer it. But
While the chief's here, does the board have any questions for the chief? Well, thank you, chief.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. You want to finish up?
Property values, you didn't address the property values decreasing?
We don't have,
We don't deal in property value, ma'am. We
don't have an appraiser. We
But
would be
you do
surprised.
deal in whether the gas station goes at that intersection. I agree with the others, it's more appropriate at the interstate instead of at that intersection.
Okay, thank you. So board members, heard from citizens, all the ones on the list.
Excuse me for interrupting you. We've got one lady that did not make the list.
Yes, thank you for pointing that out.
My name is Lauren Olmstead. I live over in Dogwood Hollow. I want to thank you for giving the opportunity to speak tonight and for all the hard work you do to guide Hernando's growth responsibly. I want to start by saying that I'm not opposed to development. In fact, I work as a consultant for a home builder in the area, so I see firsthand how important growth is to the building of a thriving community. I also believe that the lot on the corner of Mackinville and Pleasant Hill is well suited for commercial use. However, I'm strongly opposed to the gas station being placed there because of the significant traffic and safety issues it would create. at what is already a difficult intersection. The developments on Mackingville, including Delta Landing and the new high school, are expected to bring substantial increases in traffic. Significant time and resources have already gone into planning for those increases, but adding a gas station at the intersection would only compound the problem. Gas stations naturally generate frequent stops and turns, and the proposed access points would further complicate an already strained traffic system. There are also the potentials for the gas station to advertise as a gas exit on the interstate. While this might not happen right away, a future owner could easily capitalize on this opportunity. Such signage would create high volume interstate traffic through Mackingville and past the high school, further increasing congestion. That kind of traffic is not what this area needs, especially with the inexperienced high school drivers navigating those roads daily. In many states, there are regulations to protect students by restricting certain types of businesses near schools. For example, Collierville, where the applicant, Mr. Devji, I hope I pronounced that right, resides, has passed an ordinance that prohibits gas stations within 1,000 feet of a school. While Collierville protects its students from the risk associated with gas stations near schools, Mr. David is asking us to approve one right next to a school here in Hernando. Why would we accept less for our children in our community than what he demands of his own? While I fully support, this lot being zoned for commercial, I believe it would be better suited for a zoning designated like a C1 or C2 instead of the proposed C4. C1 and 2 zoning would encourage businesses that are more aligned with serving the needs of residents, such as professional offices, small shops, or cafes. These types of businesses would bring value to the area without the traffic and safety risk associated with high-traffic businesses like gas stations. This corner represents a key piece of Hernando's future development, and I urge the board to consider a long-term impact this decision will have. Is a gas station under C4 zoning really the right choice, or can we encourage a more locally focused and safer use for the property? In closing, I ask the board to deny this application based on significant risk it poses to traffic safety and the well-being of our community. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Did I miss anyone else that has not spoken on, you raised your hand earlier, yes ma'am, and I'm looking at you, Johnny, so.
You need to get him first.
Is there somebody else?
Yeah, we had one, she already been up.
Okay.
Mine's just a minute too. This is more or less to Wagner that is going to be proposing for the four-ways, not the lights.
Intersection, yeah.
For the intersection for the lights. As you're coming west from Baptist Road through the S-curve going towards the interstate on Pleasant Hill, you know, that's a dead hill. It's a blind hill. You come over that hill, and a lot of people don't even know there is a road crossing there. Several intersections in Mississippi, we have several in Marshall County, and they have those lights that are so many feet, especially on blind intersections like that with lights, and they're posted where they blink.
And tell you you're approaching an intersection.
They tell you, when they start blinking, you know it's going to be red.
Oh, yeah.
They only blink when the light is turning red.
I know what you're talking about.
Have y'all seen it? It's preparing you to stop. We definitely, if they put a light up there, because that is a blind hill, I think it's very significant in saving people from running the red light, to have one of those blinking lights that blinks, telling you there's a red light and it's going to be red when you top this hill.
That's a great suggestion, and we will pass it along.
So that's just what I had.
Thank you. Mr. Adams.
Johnny Adams, 604 Roanoke Place. I wasn't really expecting to say anything, but first of all, y'all have all conducted yourself absolutely wonderful. And so have y'all. This is the way meetings should be held. There's so much hate, and it's okay to disagree. Great points. That's just on the heart. I wasn't feeling something. Great job, y'all. Great job, y'all. My question is, traffic is certainly a concern. I don't live there. I travel the road, but it's very dangerous. But I would like to know if the owners or investors would entertain the thought of excluding vape, CBD, alcohol and tobacco sales. We're all talking about schools and children. Vape, CBD, I've got so many friends and others, this CBD and vape, it's ruining the world. And I'm a sinner, I do some things, but I would like to know if anybody would like to talk about that subject. So close to the school, and I know you have to show an ID to do it, but it doesn't happen in many stores.
Okay.
That's all I've got. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Mr. Bartley, I got a text from the planning director that you wanted to speak, so would you come up?
Thank you. Wayne Bartley, 4314 Rebecca Drive, Olive Branch. I represent the two sisters.
Yeah, we need everybody to be quiet so they can hear Wayne.
Thanks. I appreciate it. I'm not used to it. I'm not a singer or anything, so it's not going to decorate on that. I appreciate you letting me come up and speak tonight. You know, the family moved down to this property in 1987, moved down from Holmes Road, thought they were going to have a nice, quiet 4-acre tract down on Pleasant Hill Road and where they could raise their daughters. Well, then things just changed. That's DeSoto County. That's one of the things that everybody has discussed tonight, is all the things that we're going through and how we have to work together with that. So 15 years after they move in, McInville Road gets extended right next to their lot. That ends into Pleasant Hill Road, creating a corner lot. Not really anticipating that when they bought it 15 years earlier. Then 269 comes. Then here comes the interchange at McInville Road. All those things really impact those areas. And then a stone's throw away, 100-acre high school campus, large residential development down the street as well. And then what's really causing the issues too with a lot of the traffic now is the Sweeney extension that's coming down. Those are all things that I know that are impacting that area, and really, as most people have said, it really makes it to where this is not a residential lot anymore. The highest and best use for this is a commercial property. And I think what you have here was as an applicant who's willing to share some of the responsibility and some of the financial burden to make the improvements as quickly as possible, along with the county and along with the city, in order to get these improvements made to make it safe for everyone. So that's the opportunity that you have before you by approving this application. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bartley. Board members, do y'all have any questions? The developers are here. Austin is here. Do y'all have questions or comments?
I did. Mr. Adams brought up a point about the alcohol and tobacco. I know that liquor stores are excluded as one of the, or they're excluded from one of the uses. But you know, my kids are 11 and 6, right? And this is in my ward. I mean, I hope that my children will go to this high school one day. Is that something that we can regulate, or is that something that cannot be regulated?
Every gas station sells weed, not weed, tobacco, liquor. They all sell all of it in Mississippi.
If you want to speak, would you be recognized and come up to the podium?
I want to come to the podium.
Well, that's the way we do it in the meeting. But let's let Alderman Piper finish his talk, and then you're next.
Okay.
I just have that question. Is that something that we can even regulate, or is it something that?
It's something that can be regulated,
No,
but
he's asking the question of our planner.
Oh.
It's gas stations are a conditional use. This board made that part of the planning maybe a year or so ago. So you can limit what is sold.
Mm-hmm.
You can't limit, liquor is separate, and there's no liquor there.
Right.
That is possible. Getting into a big.
I think it like beer and cigarettes. That's what the question is.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if you just make one statement, if you limit it with one convenience store, you're opening up a can of worms that everybody's going to have to be limited, and that's coming into some legal issues.
I think it's certainly Pandora's box that you're opening up if you start down that road.
Correct.
Limit certain things at gas stations.
The board would take a break. Yes, could you tell us
Okay,
your
you
name?
gotta realize,
Hey, could you state your name for the
my
clerk?
name Autumn Cole. I live at 1627 Appledore Cove, Mississippi. You have to realize, every gas station, every regular store, they all sell tobacco, they all sell liquor, they sell all of that. Only way you gonna regulate anything is if everybody check IDs. Everybody don't check IDs. I'm gonna tell you that now. Like, some people, they feel like you look old enough, so they're gonna give it to you. And other people within Mississippi, now Mississippi is way more stricter than other states. I can tell you that. Like, I'm from Memphis, and Mississippi is way more stricter than Memphis is. And anybody in Mississippi, when you go in next door, they're gonna ask you for your ID. They're gonna ask you to show that ID, ask you how old you is. They're gonna do all that. But at the end of the day, you can't regulate everything, because what you can't get from one store, you can go to another store and get that. Literally, you can go to another store and get that. Everybody not gonna check your ID, and nobody gonna ask you how old you is. So, regulated at one store doesn't mean you cannot drive to another store down the street and go get that. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you very much. We'll go back to the board members for comments and questions of staff, developers.
I think this gentleman's got a comment here.
Oh, who else? We have Mr. Olmsted? Yes, sir.
Thank you for your guys' time. I just wanted to say a couple things, because I know that whether you guys, I assume you're going to make a decision tonight, or is it you could potentially table that decision, or how does that work?
The board will be asked if there's a motion. I'll ask if there is a motion. There may or may not be a motion.
So before we get to that, I just want to say, like, I understand, you know, like my wife and I are business owners, and we do a lot of community. And as far as like a C4 versus C2, really in the grand scheme of things, I understand the motivations. I understand the issue with, you know, the people that are living there trying to get into their different things and their, I believe, assisted living or whatever it is. I thought I heard something about that. But in the grand scheme of things, what's the loss as far as profit on a C2 to a C4 when that sale is being made versus this right here? You know, this is a community-based commercial type area, would be way better than a heavy use as a C4 is. We don't, the people don't want that. If you know, I had high hopes that when we kept putting this off and putting it off, when you guys came in here, you were going to come with a solution rather than just a fancy picture of another gas station. Like, if you guys would have just came in here and said, okay, we'll agree to do, let's meet in the middle. We'll do C2. We'll put in some shops, some things that are going to increase the value of our homes around there. You know, none of these people would be in here right now. None of them would be in here.
Austin, can you explain the difference between C1, C2, and C4 very quickly?
Yes, sir. So C4 is a plain commercial, so it's, like you said, catered to this use. And in all honesty, that's what the applicant wanted. And so we responded to that request with this. And so a C2 is a base zoning where you can do a gas station.
Community commercial, correct? C2 is considered community commercial?
Highway commercial for C2. C1 would be neighborhood commercial, C2, and then C3 would be basically downtown. But so in C2, you can still do a convenience or make a request to do a convenience, but it's through a conditional use, which it's a similar process to this where you go in front of a board and ask. C4 is a way that you lock in the way the building looks and the way the site's laid out and things like that. And so the applicant is asking to do a convenience store. And so this was one of the best ways we thought to get in front of the board with an end product that would be something that we agreed on.
Right. Okay. That's all I had to say. I just wanted to say that this wouldn't be happening right now if you guys would listen to the community that lives around that place, is all I'm trying to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Olmsted. I'm going to cut off comments now. I think we've heard about everything, but the board needs some discussion time. And if y'all have questions for the developers or comments, y'all soaked it all in? If not, is there a motion?
I have one question
Okay,
for
go ahead,
Austin.
Alderman Wicker.
The general development plan was done in 2007, is that correct? Yes, sir. And so that's before the intersection was put there? Yes, sir. The high school, all those changes, so there's been some change in the area?
Yes, sir. Any other questions?
I think that one lady brought up, she was talking about the condition of being met for rezoning, and those was in the application on the answer, all those conditions, those 3 conditions was referred and answered even in the planning commission, but just for information purposes. Although those questions have to be asked and answered before we even get to this point. Correct, Austin?
Yes, and the burden of proof is on that application.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the board?
And this plan has substantially changed since the presentation at the planning commission, is that correct?
The building was decreased in response to the location.
And was there a turning lane, was a turning lane involved in that?
It was shown on the plat at that meeting, yes, sir.
And I think a turn lane would have been required anyway. Our engineer's going to require the cross-section of the road to change anyway.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions from the board?
You know, as the alderman for this ward, you know, there's several of y'all I've met, you know, when we were campaigning and trying to get this position and the honor of this position, you know, met some of y'all on your front porches and we talked about, you know, the future of Hernando, and that was something that, you know, I campaigned on strategic growth for our city. I wasn't necessarily someone that campaigned on we don't need any more development in Hernando, right? Because that's not a reasonable position. I think that the location of the new high school was probably a wake-up call for a lot of people in this area that, you know, change is certainly coming to this area in Nesbitt. And it's you know, that's a reality that we have to face. I do think that, you know, there are some very serious concerns that people have brought up this evening that I share as well. You know, and I would say that I've probably traveled this area a lot more than you know, than the average citizen in Hernando, because I try to check on this area for, you know, whatever may be going on, and have advocated for, you know, roads to be paved in this area like Dogwood Hollow and Brody Road, and, you know, certainly the huge project that's going on Road that will get done before the schools open. You know, so I would just share with folks that that change is difficult, and I understand that change is difficult. We don't, but it's also something that's consistent and it's constant. Change is always going to happen. We have to do our job as aldermen to manage that change as best we can. This is not a development, to be clear, that the city went out and pursued. I know that could be confusing sometimes. This is an application that a developer made to the city. This was not something the city went out and pursued to say, hey, we really want a gas station at this corner. It was something where someone saw this property and they brought the opportunity to the city. There is a lot of development going on in Ward 6 currently. It's a lot to manage. And that is also another concern that I have, is that the overall staffing of our, you know, planning department, with the amount of development that we have, is not adequate. That's one thing that we brought up during our last, you know, our last budget year, and it's something I'll continue to advocate for as our area continues to develop.
Anyone else? Is there a motion?
And that, I guess Alderman Piper really made the case that there have been substantial change in that area since that rezoning. I guess I said something fun anyway. So,
Please keep it down. Alderman Miller, continue.
just sharing with what Alderman Piper said about the substantial change in that area, not only in that area, but in the city period, since that plan. And most of the things that the citizens had addressed and talked about was really the two major things was traffic and crime. Then one lady stated about.
Hey, please don't interrupt. Please do not interrupt. Alderman Miller. Go ahead.
Then also about property value, we could not address property value because we don't have the expertise in that area, for your concern. And there's gonna be some changes. I'm gonna make a motion. Everybody else saying that. I make a motion to approve the rezone requested by Shane King with Houston Engineer, representing the owner of the property rezone and the preliminary development plan for 4 acres from agriculture to C4 plan commercial. The subject property is located on the southwest corner of McInville and Pleasant Hill, specifically 933 Pleasant Hill Road, based upon the following finding, and that was on Exhibit 123.
Second. There's a motion on the table and a second by Alderman Bruce Robinson. There's a motion and a second. We'll have a roll call vote.
Alderman Wicker.
Aye.
Alderwoman Ross.
Aye.
Alderman Piper.
Nay.
Alderman Harris.
Aye.
Alderwoman Lynch.
Nay.
Alderman Miller.
Aye.
Alderman Robinson.
Aye. And the motion passes 5-2 with a supermajority vote. Okay, we'll move to item 15. Austin, would you prepare for item 15?
Do I need a bodyguard?
Who did you say you couldn't hear?
No, it's
All right.
I think it said it didn't hear what it season.
Oh, all right. Let's go ahead and start with item 15.
All right, the next item is PL 1858. The request is a final plat approval for Winningham Estates Subdivision Section G on north side of Nesbitt Road, east of Gwynn Road. Skip Miller is representing Winningham Estates LLC. Andy Richardson is his consulting engineer here tonight. This Section G is only 2 lots of single family. There's a brief description of how we got here tonight on A through F with each of the phases. The preliminary approval for this PUD, if you have the plat in front of you, excuse me. This is a newly formed cove at the end of Winningham Drive. The preliminary plan had that road going all the way through to Andy's Way, but to topo and on the phase, that was dedicated for common open space. And so there's a trail system behind these 2 lots, and so these 2 lots are the only 2 remaining lots on this little cove. It's kind of a holdout area against that existing common open space. So it is in conformance with the preliminary development plan, but the rest of these lots will not be developed. It's within that common area that links to Andy's Way. And so that kind of gets you a little bit of idea how we got here tonight. The proposed motion includes all of our standard criteria, but note 1, there's a drainage easement for an inlet on the south corner of lot 237 that's existing there and was not reflected on the previous plat, so it'll be good to catch that just for ongoing maintenance to reflect that as a drainage easement. All we do request in this standard conditions that a joinder be filed so that the covenants match all the existing sections A through F. And so tonight's application is just for 2 lots at the end of Winningham Drive to be a newly formed cove. And I'm available if you got any questions, and Andy's here tonight as well.
Any questions on this final plat? If there are no questions, is there a motion on the final plat?
Where are we on the drainage concerns right there where all this is coming? Like, I know that it may not be specific to these two lots.
I'll call Andy up here. He can probably address a little bit better than I can. The slope has been stabilized and the ditch has been cut.
Yeah.
The riprap's on the other entrance on Gwynn Road, and to be honest, until that lots are completely developed out and sodded along that road, it's going to be kind of an ongoing battle. But
basically what he said. The developer's basically done all he can do for the time being.
Okay.
The best thing he can do is let him continue to roll, build homes, and get sod down, and get some final stage.
the second lift on the main road that goes out to Gwynn, right now there's a lip on the asphalt so that we can't go into the gutter pan. So that's kind of a big part of it as well. Once the crown on the road is there to let it get into the gutters and go to where it's supposed to help.
So Scott and I went with Joe Lauderdale out to the site and met with a neighbor adjacent who was very concerned. And he expressed his concerns, and Joe Frank had been talking to Andy, and I think the plan is that we discussed is once we get the final lift of asphalt on and see where it's all going, excuse me, then they will do a final fix in his front yard of that ditch.
Okay.
Instead of doing it over and over.
Okay.
Just handle that at the very end, and he seemed amenable to that.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. Thank you.
Thank you for the comment, Alderman Copeland.
Yes, sir.
If there's no more questions, is there a motion on that?
Mayor, I motion to grant final plat approval for Winningham State Subdivision Section G consisting of two single-family residential lots east of Gwynn Road and north of Nesbitt Road in Section 25 and 26, Township 2 South, Range 8 West, based upon a finding that the submitted final plat generally conforms to the requirements of the city's code and ordinances, subject to the following conditions 1 through 13.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Item 16, PL 1859. Austin?
Yes, sir. This is a request for a final plat approval of the first phase of the Gilbreth PUD at the southwest corner of Holly Springs and Getwell Road. Greg Smith's here tonight representing Butch Davis of Ridgestone LLC, who's the property owner. This current phase is 48 total lots, 5 of which are common open space. The PUD text that governs the preliminary plat for this final plat tonight was approved by y'all on June 21st, 2022. Quickly, the minimum lot sizes in the development are 9,600 square feet. The minimum home size is 25 square feet, and there are architectural comments that go into the covenants that we're requesting be filed with this plat. All of the standard conditions are in the proposed motion. One thing that the Planning Commission did recommend that y'all include in the motion was the streetscape along Holly Springs Road is a 50-foot on-center fence with a landscape buffer in front. The proposal of that showed trees to be planted at 50 foot on center. The Planning Commission wanted to double that, to put double the number of trees along Holly Springs Road. And talked to Greg and the developer, and everybody's okay with that. It won't be that big of a change. I think it'll look a lot better along Holly Springs Road. And then additionally, with this being the first phase of a new subdivision, I'll talk to Chief Ellis. And I would like to add the condition of setting the speed limit at 25 miles an hour, and so there's no confusion about the enforcement of that or the signs to be installed as we go forward throughout the rest of the phases of this subdivision. The plat's included in your staff report, along with some of the stuff I just talked about the streetscape, some of the architectural elevations that they're planning for, and you can see in the preliminary plat, this does almost exactly conform to that was submitted with their PUD. And this is the first phase of Gilbreth PUD. If you got any questions, and Greg's here tonight as well, representing the applicant.
When will construction start?
So it's ongoing now. They did soil cement actually today. From what I heard from Greg, probably after the New Year's when we're looking at
house construction, Alderman Miller?
All right, and some of the problem we have in these other subdivisions is this signage. When will the signage start going up? We setting the speed limit sign. We setting the speed limit, but the problem has been that no signage go up in a timely manner. And also not only that in a timely manner, but also stop signs is not being put up in a timely manner by the regardless of what phase it's in. So I want to ensure that even in phase one, that all the signage go up, that speed and stop sign.
And street?
Huh?
And street signs too?
But
Speed signs, stop signs, and street signs.
What's
I don't
the
have a
speed
problem
limit,
with
what's the
street
speed limit in
signage.
Jefferson Estates? Is it 25
Well, for-
or 20?
I just brought that up too long ago. I think it's 25.
So,
Well, we can include that.
Lee,
too.
can
I'm
you
just
and
saying-
Austin make sure that happens with your departments?
Yes, sir, we actually met about this already.
Because
Will you be able to
y'all
help
just
us
done
with
the
that?
curb and gutter, so.
It's a ways out from
And, yeah.
In case y'all didn't hear it, the engineer said they're agreeable to do that.
And I don't know what I can do, but I can definitely tell Butch that needs to happen on this one. If y'all need to make that part of the motion, I understand that too.
Thank you, sir. Alderman Miller, did that answer your concern?
Thank you.
Any other concerns on this one?
I would just say like whatever the speed limit is in Jefferson, because they're tying in, they just need to be the same. So if
Right.
they're 25, it needs to be 25. If it's 20, it needs to be 20. So there's not any sort of weird changeover. I don't know what it is, but it may be 25. I don't know. Some neighborhoods are 20. That's why the only reason I brought it up.
There's not a whole lot of signs in Jefferson for speed. I'll have to go through there and look.
We usually don't put them all through because they get
Yeah.
a little tacky looking. We put them at the entrances.
Right.
If you go through the entrance, we know you've seen it.
I don't remember seeing
I just
20,
think it
but I
should.
mean, I'll have to look, because I'm over there all the time.
Well, I know that we have prepared a drawing, and Butch has it shown, I don't know if he sent it to you yet, he says he's gonna send it to you. It shows us locations of every speed limit sign, stop sign. So, we've got that a plan on that, and whatever number we need to put on those signs, we'll definitely do that.
Yeah, I mean, we had some issues in St. Ives with that last phase with no signs, and people were just flying through and stuff like that, so it does help.
So I think we'll
So,
let the
yeah.
chief look at Jefferson and look at it, and the chief set the speed limit with his knowledge of that. Does that work for y'all?
Yep.
Well, I think y'all have to approve that, so I don't know if you have to do it in this phase or another phase, but the board has to set the speed limit.
It's got to be part of it.
Yeah, do y'all want to set it the same as Jefferson? Just say it's the same
Yeah,
as Jefferson?
based on whatever Jefferson is.
Okay. And we'll get those numbers to you, so you know
Okay.
what it is.
Sure thing.
Thank you. Anything else? If not, can I have a motion?
Mayor, a motion to grant final plat approval to Greg Smith of Minerva Engineering and Resources representing Ridgestone LLC, the property owner for Gilbreath PUD Phase 1, consisting of 48 total lots with 5 common open space lots, based on the finding that submitted final plat generally conforms to the requirements of the city's code and ordinances, subject to the following conditions 1 through 12, with the setting of the speed limit consistent with the adjoining Jefferson Estates subdivision.
And the trees?
In the tree, doubling, planning commission verbiage, whatever that was.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. 17 and 18 are similar. Start out by saying, I wasn't here when y'all did this meeting, when y'all were talking about how to fund these trucks and not buy the land behind the Public Works building. So, just so everybody's clear, in this budget, we had budgeted $235,000 for a brush truck. And then we had budgeted another 200 or so. It was a total of $450. And we were going to borrow $450,000 to buy the land and buy a brush truck. What we are asking you to change on that tonight is, we have 2 brush trucks here on 17 and 18. We're not going to buy the land. Y'all decided that. So instead of borrowing $450, we're going to borrow $289. And that'll be all we borrow, and that will get us 2 brush trucks, a used one, a good used one, and a brand new one, which I think is a bargain. So we'll be borrowing less money than this budget had authorized, and we'll be getting 2 brush trucks. I just want to make sure everybody's clear. So tomorrow, Pam will send out an addendum to the financing bid